Today I'm joined by Zach Everson, a staff writer here at Forbes. Zach, per usual, I appreciate you hopping on to join me.
And per usual, it's a pleasure, Brittany.
Great. As you know, according to a watchdog report, the campaigns for 3 election-denying candidates spent a good chunk of change at Trump businesses. What can you tell us?
So, there are three political campaigns for election-denying Secretary of State candidates who spent $81,000 at Trump properties, according to a report from Issue 1, a government watchdog. And what really stands out is that this report singled out 9 companies that really made some decent chunk of change off of election-denying Secretary of State candidates. 8 of them were political consultancies. The other one, the Trump Organization.
What can you tell us about these political candidates? Let's go down, starting with who spent the most.
Sure. The most was Mark Finchem. He is probably one of the most well-known of the election deniers. He was running for Secretary of State in Arizona and lost. He is the state rep. And he spent over $53,000 in campaign funds at Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago, of course, in Florida. Arizona, not Florida. But he did schlep out there. All 3 of these candidates did pick up in Trump's endorsements, and all 3 of these candidates also did lose.
Is $53,000 a lot in the scheme of a campaign spending something in one place?
For a state Secretary of State, yes, it probably would be. These certainly were contentious Secretary of State races, so I'm guessing the money was probably a little bit higher than in some other states. But last year, we looked at the leading spenders of Trump-endorsed candidates at Trump properties, and $53,000 would put him in the top echelon. I think at the time we came up with about $1.4 million in campaign funds had been spent at Trump properties this election cycle from candidates he'd endorsed. So $53,000 would be pretty high up there.
And what's the timeline here? I'm curious. Are they spending money and then get the endorsement, or does Trump give out this endorsement and then they go and spend money at Trump businesses?
It's worked both ways. A lot of times it is the endorsement comes first. These are very Trumpy candidates in the first place. Trump is bound to endorse somebody who wants to overthrow the election and say that Trump lost because of a big lie. It seems like somebody who's going to get Trump's seal of approval, whether or not they do spend campaign funds there. But then they do have fundraisers. And from what we've heard from campaigns who've gotten back to us, not these 3 in particular, but from some other ones, is fundraisers at Mar-a-Lago do well. Their backers want to go there. Their backers want to see the president. And, 2 of these fundraisers took place at Mar-a-Lago. One was at Bedminster, which is where Trump summers. Trump spoke to all 3 of them. And, candidates say that's what their backers want to see.
Regarding these candidates' politics, are they moderate? Are they fringe? What are they saying?
Well, fringe these days is, pretty much center for the GOP. Finchem we discussed. Another one, Christina Caramo, was a poll worker in 2020 who made up a lie that she had witnessed some voter fraud and then used that in the fame she got thereafter to propel her to run for Secretary of State. They are pretty far right, but that's also pretty moderate in today's GOP.
I know you're saying that's pretty moderate in today's GOP, but are any actual center-right candidates spending money at Trump businesses?
You'll see it sometime. I mean, one of the leading spenders of campaign funds there is Kevin McCarthy. And, I think a lot of people on the right end of the Republican Party would not say that he's one of them. He is a bit of a chameleon, being what he needs to be at any given moment. But you will see some people there. It's changed a little bit after January 6th. I think before that happened, you would find people like Mitch McConnell showing up at Trump properties, Mike Pence spending a lot of money. Mike Pence's PAC spent about $200,000 at Trump properties. And after Trump did not shoot down the concept of hanging Mike Pence, I have not seen any spending from Mike Pence's properties at Trump businesses.
I know nothing has really been politically normal since 2016, but let's look back here a little bit. Is spending some money at someone's business in hopes for their political endorsement normal behavior?
I just don't think we saw it happen that often. And you certainly see, you don't know which one's coming first. You don't know if they're spending there in the hopes of the endorsement, or they got the endorsement and then they're spending money as a thank you, or it's just a natural fit, which is the case with a lot of this. It's a natural fit, although there's certainly examples of people going to Mar-a-Lago in the hopes of picking up that endorsement. Most notably right now would be the man of the hour, George Santos. It was reported that he went to Mar-a-Lago for the sole purpose of picking up Trump's endorsement. Now, it didn't look like had an event there, but he personally went there for that. So, it's tough to say. It's just, we never had an example where there was such a prominent politician who had so many places of business that were open for other politicians to come and spend their money. I mean, the venues Trump has are like tailor-made for politicians. Not that that's why he got into the hospitality and golfing business, but that's exactly what politicians are looking for. So it works out rather well.
And has anyone made the trek down there in hopes for this endorsement, spent some money, and didn't get the endorsement from Trump?
Yeah, you've seen some people, and usually Trump seems to be reluctant to endorse people who don't stand much of a chance of winning. So if you were to spend money on a Trump property and not get that endorsement, you can kind of tell what he thinks of your odds. Famously, I think there were two representatives who were running against Maxine Waters, two candidates for that was running against Maxine Waters in California, each of whom was in the Trump hotel here in D.C. on the same day, making their announcement that they were running, which is obviously about as far away from California as you can get in the continental United States. And I don't believe Trump endorsed either one of those. And he's certainly no fan of Maxine Waters, and I'm sure would love to see her thrown out of Congress, but he knew neither one of those guys stood a chance. And he's very concerned about his success rating in endorsements. And he wasn't going to sully his reputation with one of those guys, no matter how much money they spent to his property.
Got it. And going back to these Secretary of State candidates who spent $81,000 on Trump businesses, they all lost. So what does this say about Trump's hold on the GOP?
Well, it shows he's profiting no matter what. If they won, great. They'd be able to put their thumbs on the scale for him when he runs for president again. If not, well, he's still getting $81,000 from his campaigns for these people. So not bad.
And as we inch closer to 2024, are we going to see more, do you think, of candidates going to Trump, spending money there, or less?
As long as he remains one of the preeminent power brokers in the GOP, yeah, you're absolutely going to see that. I mean, there's no shortage of people. Recently, I saw Carrie Lake was at an event speaking at one of Trump's properties. So sometimes they're spending their campaign funds. Other times they are the featured speaker when somebody else spends money there. And I don't think we're going to see any shortage of people going to Trump's golf course in Bedminster and Mar-a-Lago, which is where he splits his time, to go, kiss the ring and pay homage.
Well, we will definitely keep our eye out. Zach Everson, thank you so much.
My pleasure, Brittany.